My new kick is Ketone IQ from Health via Modern Nutrition. I've been using it right before I work out, and every time I sit down to record in this studio, I know it's working because I can feel my brain activity increase and my body temperature drop. It literally is like having ice in your veins. Ketone IQ is brain fuel that delivers a clean energy boost without sugar or caffeine. Just take a shot whenever you need to re-energize. I won't lie to you. Ketone IQ does not taste great. This is a shot. It is meant to be taken just like one. Jet fuel is not meant to be sipped on. When my brain is fueled by ketones, I feel calm, focused, and ready to get after it. That's why 60% of cyclists on the Tour de France use Ketone IQ. It's gonna be the next big thing in sports, and it's available right now at Sprouts nationwide. Save 30% off your first subscription order of Ketone IQ and 10% every month thereafter at hbmn.com/Chael. Just visit hbmn.com/Chael and subscribe upon checkout or click on the link below. Hey guys, I do not know what to talk about. There is nothing going on today. All right, I'm going to come over here. I'm going to put my best foot forward. I'll tell you what, I used to be inundated with what they would call competition. They call it competition. Other fighters sitting in front of a camera and uploading it to YouTube. That was known as competition. I ran them out, and I maintained the highest number because on days like today, they can't create content. I don't blame them for that. But that is the meaningful distinction. They looked at the news before they went to the studio today, called their production team and said, "I'm not coming to the studio today." I did not look at the news. I waited until I got here. Team's here, cameras are on, and we're live. And I spent 39 seconds talking about nothing. That is a skill. All right, guys. I will tell you though, look, it's a rough spot. And this is very common. You will have highs and you will have lows. You want to know a great fight? I'll tell you a great fight that unless you have Fight Pass, you didn't see. It was Chris Weidman versus Mark Munoz. It was a main event. It was on a Wednesday night. It was in California. Did I just give you all the ingredients that you need for a sellout blockbuster hit? Well, the other side of it, and I'm not looking to shine my own wheels here, but UFC 247 was the Saturday before. That was Sonnen versus Silva Part 2. At that time, that was the biggest MMA fight that had ever taken place. So what goes up? All markets. Something comes down. So we go have this massive fight. On Saturday night, all the media, all the build, all the fans, all the everything, whatever was coming next, including a California show on Wednesday with those three little letters, UFC, it just wasn't going to work. And it was such a meaningful fight. Mark Munoz was on the cusp of being world champion. And you want to know something? It's not about who he beat or what his record was. It was about all of the guys that saw him and or felt him and then went to Dana White and Joe Silva themselves and said, he's the guy. He'll bring down Anderson Silva. That's the guy. And many people believed it. And Dana White was listening and Joe Silva was paying attention. But they needed to have him that one win, and that is where Chris Weidman came in. And Chris was excellent. It really wasn't an upset as much as it was unexpected. We just didn't know what we were getting into there. We just didn't know. California, hometown boy, Mark Munoz, big star, owns a gym. Everybody's shining him up. All-American Chris Weidman, he's going to fly in from New York. I mean, it was one of these things where the A-side, B-side was pretty clear. And even though it did amongst the worst numbers in the history of our sport, there was a reason. There was a reason. Not to mention they shuffled them on a Wednesday. I bring that to you. Bring that to you because I get a little bit of that feel right now. We're coming off the BMF. The BMF has only been contested one other time. And it would be hard for us to say who our favorite fighters were. Like, that would be a really interesting poll. In fact, I might run one on my YouTube. Between the two BMF fights, collectively, who had the more star power? Masvidal Diaz or Gaethje Poirier? Who collectively were the bigger stars? That's an interesting question. And I imagine because Diaz is involved, all of you are going to swing over that way. But I think a lot of you are forgetting how and when George Masvidal reached the top. George Masvidal became the second biggest draw in the sport of mixed martial arts, only behind Conor McGregor. And he was definitely part of the ascension that night at Madison Square Garden. But I wouldn't agree that he had fully ascended until he won that night at Madison Square Garden. But that would be big. And you want to know what's going on? So go back to the BMF, inserts Masvidal. He comes, he puts the bell, or at least he drapes it over the shoulder, claims he lost 100 grand, found a way to steal headlines. Conor McGregor found a way to get more headlines than the BMF itself. Michael Chandler woke up 3 days later going, oh my God, I better start punching back. I'm about to have something taken from me. So Chandler got in there. I mean, it's $1 short, but I'm not sure that he was a day late. I mean, he was promised something. There's a reason he didn't feel an urgency. He must feel the urgency now. And it's just a game. They're just playing. They're just playing. They're just fooling and whatnot. You guys follow history? If you guys like fiction, then you should enjoy history. Because it is all bull. All of it. But to the winner, and whoever got to a pencil and a piece of paper first, he can write it down and it will be required learning moving forward. And part of your fictional history that is widely believed from the Old West in 1887 is that the governor who once gave a pardon to a young man named William H. Bonney, a.k.a. Henry Bonney, a.k.a. Billy the Kid, decided instead of pardoning him, he was going to hang him. And to hang him, he was going to need somebody that knew his traits, somebody that could find him. So they hired his best friend, Pat Garrett, in the sum of $500. $500 in advance and $500 when the job is done. So Pat Garrett knew what the kid was going to do because he had a coy dog. And a coy dog must have attention. No matter how good that dog is and how loyal that dog is, it must pop its head up and get some attention before it goes back down and goes to work. And he thought the kid was like a coy dog, and he knew there was a town 3 miles over. Now, to take the old Blackbird Trail to Old Mexico, which would have been the safe way, or go 3 towns over, where there's a saloon, and there's cigars, and there's dancing girls. And Pat Garrett said, the kid's a coy dog. He's headed for the town. He's not headed for safety. And sure enough, that's where he found him. But when you talk about an old coy dog that's got to pop his head up every now and again, you're talking about Conor McGregor. And the math done on putting Conor in the Ultimate Fighter is let's get a really big personality and really good draw. Because this episode and series that we're bringing our partners over to ESPN is 11. Instead of one night and one beautiful pay-per-view, if Conor agrees to this, we got 11. Knock them out of the park, ratings, sensations. That was the belief. And then, moreover, he will be locked into the fight with Michael Chandler. There is not a scenario where he could go through the Ultimate Fighter, where he could go through 11 weeks of build-up and pull out of the fight. The part that they missed is this isn't a man of great integrity whose word is his bond. It's a coy dog who needs attention and pops his head up every now and then so that somebody scratches it and pinches its face. And when the Ultimate Fighter started to run its course, the coy dog started to take to Twitter. And he knew that he would get a bigger bounce by going after anybody other than the person who he had promised for 11 straight weeks that he would go after in the form of Michael Chandler. He caught Michael Chandler off guard. Michael Chandler let 3 days go by. Once 3 days goes by and your name's out of the conversation, it's going to be very hard to get it back into the conversation. Conor will do what he wants with the United States Doping Agency. Don't make a mistake about that. Boy, I hope that fight happens. But either way, he'll do what he wants. He'll do what he wants as far as fighting Michael Chandler. That's already been clear whether he fights Michael or he doesn't fight Michael. It's been made very clear when Conor told the world, I haven't yet picked a weight class, and Chandler backed him up. Well, I'm still waiting to hear if it's 55 or 70. Conor hasn't made his mind up yet. All right, great. Conor's in charge. It's been made very clear when Charles Oliveira named number one contender, but he goes and builds a poster, puts it out on his verified social media, says it's him versus Conor McGregor. It's been made very clear when Justin Gaethje tells Conor today to sign the contract. And as much strength as there is, and as much people as are sitting around begging, as much asking that is going on, somebody has to be the boss. And it turns out this organization happens to have, more than any organization in the face of America, a boss. But until the boss comes forward and says it's this or forget it, until that happens, the coy dog is going to keep popping his head up in any town that he thinks is going to get him the most attention.